Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me. I didn't see the signs right away, but someone else was quietly stepping into my role. My name is Mark Ellison. I'm 39 years old and I live in Eugene, Oregon. I used to joke that I was born with an oil rag in one hand and a toolbox in the other. But honestly, the real job I've had the longest was being Ryan's big brother. Sometimes I think I raised him more than our own parents did. Dad took a job overseas when I was 17 and Ryan was 10. Just for a year, he said, then 2 years, then 5. Then he just stopped coming home. Mom was still around, but mentally she checked out not long after Dad left. She loved Ryan, doted on him really, but she wasn't built to raise two boys on her own. So I stepped in. I taught Ryan how to ride a bike, how to shave, how to talk to girls without sounding like a weirdo. I was the one who packed his lunches, signed his field trip slips, and drove him to and from school when Mom was too tired. When he got into a fight in high school, I didn't even hear about it until the vice principal called me. I left work early and walked into that office like I was his dad, because at that point, I kind of was. Mom always had a soft spot for Ryan. He's my little artist, she used to say, even when he was skipping homework to make videos with his friends. When I got a job fixing HVAC systems, she barely blinked. When Ryan got into film school, she threw a party. I didn't mind. Not really. I was proud of him, still am. When Mom fell behind on the mortgage after a medical bill wiped out her savings, I covered it. When Ryan's scholarship got reduced in his junior year, I picked up a second job to keep him enrolled. I didn't tell anyone, just made it work. When he met Lily, it was the first time I saw him really grounded. She was calm, smart, kind. She brought out the parts of Ryan that reminded me of Dad before he left. Curious, steady, hopeful. And when Ryan asked me to be his best man, I couldn't have been more honored. I thought, this is it. This is the payoff. All those years of holding it together, and now I get to stand beside him at the most important moment of his life. I didn't need speeches or thanks. I just wanted to show up for him, like I always had. But I should have known things were shifting when I stopped getting updates from Ryan directly. When Mom started saying things like, Lily's cousin Travis has been such a help, or Travis found this amazing wedding planner, at first, I didn't think anything of it. Just another pair of hands in the mix. But slowly, quietly, Travis was becoming the go-to guy. I threw myself into planning, dug into wedding blogs, cross-referenced caterers, hunted for band demos like I was building a playlist for the Grammy Awards. I found a rehearsal dinner spot that had glowing reviews, booked it a year in advance, even got a quote from this live band Ryan said he liked back when we were driving through Bend one summer. Then Mom invited me to a family dinner. She made her pot roast. That was her tell. We only got pot roast when something big was coming. A breakup, a new job, or the time she announced she was refinancing the house without telling anyone. So I show up ready to talk centerpieces and table layouts. Instead, she drops the bomb. Oh, we went ahead and booked the vineyard, she said, like it was the most casual thing in the world. Lily's family said it was the only weekend that worked for everyone, so I just put the deposit down. Ryan just nodded, chewing like none of this was surprising. Yeah, he added, Travis found it last month. Seemed like a good fit. I blinked. Wait, you booked it already? Of course, Mom said. You've got enough on your plate, sweetie. No one asked what I thought. No one mentioned that I'd been researching venues for 2 months. I tried to brush it off. Logistics, I told myself. It wasn't about cutting me out. It was about making things easier. That's what I kept repeating as my suggestions started falling flat. Every time I brought something up, there was a new excuse. I know a guy who does wedding photos, I said. Travis already found someone, Ryan told me. What about that catering company near River Street? Oh, your mom already met with them, but we're going with someone Lily's cousin knows. It was like I was playing catch-up in a game I didn't even know had started. Still, I didn't want to rock the boat. I focused on the things I could still help with. I locked down the band, paid their full fee out of pocket, reserved hotel blocks for the out-of-town guests, put a deposit on a limo service that wasn't in the original budget. Then the social media posts started. Lily posted a photo of the wedding team sitting around a fire pit with laptops and wine glasses. Ryan, Lily, Travis, even Mom. The caption said, couldn't do it without these amazing humans. I stared at the screen for a long time. No mention of me. No photo. No, thanks to my brother for fronting half this thing. I figured it was just a one-off. But then another post popped up a few days later. Travis standing in front of a clipboard with a mock itinerary and the words, Travis taking charge again. I blinked. Best man vibes? I hadn't been invited to that meeting. I didn't even know there was a meeting. And now Travis, Lily's cousin, was making jokes about stepping into my role. I sent Ryan a text. Hey, what's this about Travis planning wedding stuff? He wrote back, he's just helping. You've been busy with work, right? That one stung. Busy? I was covering thousands in costs they barely noticed. I was up until midnight sorting through vendor emails, but somehow I was already fading into the background. I found out from a coworker, of all people, that Ryan's suit fitting had already happened. We were grabbing lunch when she said, saw your brother and his guys at Whitmore Taylor's the other day. They looked sharp. I just stared at her. You sure it was Ryan? Pretty sure. His fiancée was there too, and another guy, tall, brown hair, kinda loud. He was bossing the tailor around like he owned the place. That was Travis, no doubt. I texted Ryan when I got back to my truck. Hey, did I miss the suit fitting? He replied an hour later. Yeah, sorry, it was last minute. You've been busy with work, right? There it was again, busy with work. As if that explained everything. A few days later, Travis started calling himself kind of the co-best man. At first, it was in group texts I wasn't part of. I only saw screenshots from mutual friends. Then it started popping up in conversation. Jokes at first, like, well, as the co-best man, I think we should definitely go with the blue napkins, or gotta make sure the bachelor party lives up to my co-best man standards. Ryan never corrected him. I tried to convince myself it didn't matter. Let them plan whatever they wanted. I was still the one paying the bills. I'd already fronted the final band balance, which wasn't cheap. I even pulled a few strings with a travel agent I knew and upgraded their honeymoon package to all-inclusive in Santorini. It was supposed to be a surprise, something to show Ryan that I still had his back, even if I wasn't being looped in. But somewhere in the middle of all that, I started to wonder if I was the only one who thought I was still part of this thing. Then came the moment that gutted me. I had stopped by Mom's house to drop off a package she said was too heavy for her to carry, table lanterns or something. She was on the phone when I came in, didn't notice me at first. I was halfway to the kitchen when I heard her say, Mark always thinks money gives him a seat at the table. I froze. Ryan's just too nice to say no, she continued. But this is his moment, not his brother's. Honestly, I'm glad Travis is stepping up. It's about time someone told Mark to step back. I backed away before she saw me. Drove straight home and sat in the car with the engine running, not moving, not thinking, just sitting there with those words bouncing around my head. Money gives him a seat at the table. I'd covered half the table, paid for the chairs. Hell, I probably paid for the napkins too. And still, somehow, I was too much. Too involved. Too controlling. Too Mark. That's when it clicked. It wasn't just Travis sliding in, it was everyone else quietly helping him push me out. Ryan texted me one evening, can we talk? Come by Mom's Sunday around 6? No context, no emojis, just that. I figured it was about the wedding. Maybe he finally noticed how distant things had gotten. Maybe we'd sit down, have a beer, clear the air. I should have known better. When I walked in, everyone was already there, seated in the living room like they were waiting for a presentation. Mom on the love seat, legs crossed, hands folded like she was conducting a meeting. Travis perched on the armrest, smug as hell. Lily sitting stiff on the couch, not looking up. And Ryan standing by the fireplace, staring at the carpet like it might give him answers. I was the only one standing, the outsider. Mark, Mom began, we've all been talking. I didn't sit. About what? She smiled, that tight, forced kind she saved for when she wanted to look polite while saying something cruel. About the wedding, about your role in all of this. Lily glanced at Ryan. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom continued, we feel your presence has been a bit stressful. I blinked. Stressful? Not intentionally, she added quickly, but you've been so busy and with all the decisions already made, it just seemed simpler. I turned to Ryan. You agree with this? He shifted, rubbed the back of his neck. We just want the day to be peaceful, man. No pressure, no drama. I let out a dry laugh. Drama? I booked the band. I paid for half the services. What drama? Travis finally spoke. Look, dude, I know this is hard to hear, but it's not personal. I turned to him, sharp. You have nothing to say to me. He raised his hands like I'd just confirmed everything he wanted me to be. The angry, difficult brother. Mom leaned forward. We just think it's best if you step aside from the best man role, maybe from attending altogether. I stared at her. You don't want me at my own brother's wedding. It's not about want, she said. It's about what's best for everyone. Lily's voice was quiet but clear. We just want to avoid tension. Ryan still wouldn't look at me. I swallowed hard. So that's it? You decided this, and now I'm just cut out? No one answered. I stepped back, stunned. Then something clicked. Wait, what do you mean? Step aside from best man. I'm the best man. Mom and Travis exchanged a glance. Lily looked down at her lap. Ryan finally spoke. We made the switch a few weeks ago. Travis is listed on everything now. It just made sense with how involved he's been. That was the moment the floor gave out. I felt heat rise to my face, but I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there, taking it in. The ambush, the betrayal, the sick certainty that this wasn't a sudden change. It had been in motion for weeks. They didn't ask me. They decided, and they were proud of it. Okay, I said finally, my voice calm. If that's what you want. No one stopped me as I walked out. No one even tried. I went home that night numb, then angry. By sunrise, I had my laptop open, a cup of cold coffee beside me, and a fire in my chest I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't going to scream or beg or send long texts asking why they did it. I wasn't going to explain myself. I was done. First stop, the travel site. I logged into the account where I'd booked the surprise honeymoon upgrade. 5 nights in Santorini, private suite, ocean view, the whole deal. Non-refundable? Maybe for regular customers. I had connections. 10 minutes later, it was canceled. The refund processed. I transferred the $7,500 back into my savings and sat back in my chair, breathing slower for the first time in weeks. Next, I called the band. The same one I'd spent days vetting, the one Ryan said he loved. Hey, this is Mark Ellison. I'm calling about the Bennett wedding. The manager recognized my name immediately. I told her I was no longer involved and that all remaining communication and payment should go to Travis Hawthorne. I even gave her his number. If he doesn't pay, feel free to cancel, I said. I'm not holding the contract anymore. Then I checked my credit card statements. Sure enough, there they were, charges I didn't recognize. Wedding favors, $289.47, and custom table menus, $154.20. Both billed through Mom's online store account. She'd used my saved info again. Without asking, I reported both as unauthorized. The bank flagged them immediately and issued a temporary hold on the transactions. By noon, my phone was lighting up. Mom, Mark, what did you do? Hey, what's going on with the band? They said they haven't been paid yet. Travis, silence, of course, probably scrambling. I didn't answer any of them. I figured if they were going to cast me as the villain, I might as well play the part. A few hours later, Mom called. I didn't pick up. Then Ryan. I hesitated, but let it ring. That night, just past 2 a.m, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Ryan. Just one line. I didn't know, man. I swear. I stared at it for a while. I wanted to believe him. But after everything, the meetings, the replacement, the smug looks, it was hard to tell where the lies ended and the truth started. Still, part of me softened. Maybe he hadn't known everything. Maybe, like me, he'd been manipulated into silence by the people who were supposed to protect him. But I couldn't fix it for him. Not this time. I turned off my phone, rolled over, and let the silence settle in. For the first time in years, it didn't feel like a burden. It felt like peace. Ryan called again 2 days later, from a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, I could hear the hesitation in his voice right away. It's me. I figured, I said, keeping it neutral. I got a new SIM. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't being monitored. That caught me off guard. Monitored by who? He sighed. Can we meet? I've got some stuff I need to show you. Stuff I should have looked at earlier. We met at a diner on 5th Street, middle of the day, nearly empty. He looked like hell, bags under his eyes, clothes wrinkled like he hadn't slept much. He slid into the booth, didn't even bother with small talk. Just pulled out his phone and a manila folder. You remember when you sent me those hotel options for the bachelor weekend? He asked. Yeah. I never got them, not on my phone at least. Travis showed me a screenshot that said you were trying to hijack the plans, that you wanted to move the party to California away from Lily's family, said you were being selfish. What? I frowned. That never happened. I know that now, he said quietly. That's why I'm here. He tapped through his phone, pulled up a screen recording. Watch this. It was his message settings, except there was a filter app sitting between the messages and the display, one I'd never seen before. It's called Cleancast, he explained. Mom installed it when she fixed my phone a few months ago, said it would block spam texts and scams. Turns out it was set to curate anything she marked as disruptive. Disruptive, I repeated, meaning me, he nodded. Your texts got filtered. Sometimes they were hidden, sometimes replaced entirely with fake ones. And your voicemails rerouted through a transcriber. Travis doctored the transcripts. I leaned back in the booth, feeling like the air had been knocked out of me. Jesus. He slid the folder over to me. Bank statements, email chains, actual texts from you once I logged into your vendor accounts and saw what really happened. I flipped through the papers, every deposit, every booking, the emails confirming the limo, the band, the rehearsal dinner. Ryan's hands were clenched around his coffee mug. She said you were jealous, that you always had to be in control, that you didn't want me to have something of my own. Do you believe her? He shook his head. Not anymore. We sat in silence for a moment. Just the clink of cutlery from the kitchen and the hum of the overhead lights. I'm sorry, he said finally, for not asking questions sooner, for letting them twist it. I exhaled slowly. I don't need you to grovel, Ryan. I just needed you to see it. He nodded. I do now. And maybe that should have felt like victory. But watching my little brother realize how deeply he'd been manipulated, that hurt more than anything they'd said about me. Because I didn't just lose my role in the wedding, I almost lost my place in his life. We agreed to confront Mom together. Ryan said it had to be somewhere neutral. Not her house, not mine. So we went to Aunt Cheryl's place. She was the only one in the family who had ever really called Mom out on her nonsense. If we needed backup, Cheryl was it. The moment we walked in, Mom was already sitting at the dining table, arms crossed, expression locked in that practiced blend of wounded innocence and quiet authority. Travis stood in the corner, trying to look casual, like he wasn't about to be exposed. Aunt Cheryl hovered by the kitchen doorway, arms folded, silent but alert. Ryan didn't waste time. He walked up to the table, pulled out the same folder he'd shown me, and placed it in front of Mom. I know what you did, he said calmly. The app, the fake messages, blocking Mark. Mom's eyes didn't even flinch. Ryan, I don't know what that is. Don't, he cut in. Please, just don't. Travis shifted uncomfortably. Mom glanced at him, then back at Ryan. Sweetheart, you've been under a lot of pressure lately. Wedding stress does that to people. This isn't about stress, Ryan said. This is about you lying, manipulating, turning me against my own brother. Her tone snapped colder. I was protecting you. Mark was making everything about himself. No, Ryan interrupted again. He wasn't. You were you and Travis. I stayed quiet. This was his moment. He needed to say it. But I stood beside him, solid and unmovable like I always had. You showed me fake screenshots, Ryan continued. You told me Mark was sabotaging the wedding when he was literally paying for half of it. You made me believe he was jealous when he was the only one who had my back. Mom's lip trembled. I did it because I didn't want your big day to be ruined. By what? His presence? His help? Cheryl stepped in then. She's done this before, she said quietly. When your dad got that job in San Diego, she told everyone he was abandoning the family, but she was the one who filed for separation behind his back. Mom spun toward her. That has nothing to do with this. Cheryl didn't blink. It has everything to do with this. You control people by making them feel like everyone else is the problem, but not this time. Ryan took a breath. You have two choices. You show up to my wedding like a mother should, or you stay home. But either way, Mark's standing beside me. Mom's jaw tightened. After everything I've done for you. You didn't do this for me, Ryan said. You did it for you. For a long second, no one moved. Then Travis muttered, I'll step down from the best man thing. He didn't meet anyone's eyes, just walked out. Mom stood there, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Not humbled, just exposed. Ryan looked at me. Ready to go? I nodded. For once, someone else had told her no, and this time it stuck. The big day came. The sky was clear, sun high, but not punishing. Ryan stood at the altar, nerves twitching in his jaw, but when he saw me take my place beside him, he relaxed. Not a word passed between us at first, just a look, like everything that needed to be said had already been handled. I adjusted his boutonniere. "It's crooked," I muttered. He chuckled. "Of course it is." The ceremony started right on time. Lily looked beautiful, not in that dramatic magazine kind of way, but grounded and genuine. She smiled when she reached Ryan, eyes shining. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I was where I was supposed to be, right beside my brother. The guests were quiet, attentive, respectful. When the officiant asked for the rings, I handed them over without fumbling. Ryan's hand brushed mine as he took his. Just a moment, but it felt like an anchor, like we'd made it through something. Mom came. She sat 3 rows back, stiff in a pale blue dress that probably cost too much. Her makeup was flawless. Her expression, blank. Not warm, not angry, just present. She clapped at the right moments, smiled politely for photos, and kept her distance. No scenes, no comments. Travis wasn't there, no explanation given, no one asked. At the reception, I gave my speech. I thought about roasting Ryan, telling old stories, maybe bringing up that time he glued my car keys to the coffee table. But I didn't. Instead, I talked about what it meant to show up for someone, how brotherhood wasn't about biology or tradition. It was about who stood beside you when no one else did. I ended with, I've watched Ryan grow from a kid with wild ideas to a man who knows how to love someone completely. And if I've done anything right in my life, it's that I never stopped believing in him, even when I probably should have. There wasn't a dry eye at our table when I sat down. Ryan hugged me hard. "I should have known better," he whispered. "I won't forget again." We didn't say much else. We didn't need to. Later that night, after the cake had been cut and the first dances had passed, Mom approached me. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just stood there, hands clasped tight, like she wasn't sure how to start. "I've started talking to someone," she said, voice barely audible over the music. "A counselor." I raised an eyebrow. "Don't expect anything from me," she added quickly. "But I'm trying." I nodded. "Okay." She walked away without waiting for a reply. And honestly, I was fine with that. I didn't need a big apology. I didn't even need closure. I had my brother back. And for once, that was enough. When I looked around the room, at the dance floor, at the people laughing, at Ryan twirling Lily around with a dopey grin, I didn't feel like an outsider anymore. I felt like I'd finally stepped into my own story. Things didn't magically fix themselves. There wasn't some fairy tale ending where Mom became nurturing and self-aware, or Travis apologized over brunch, but the air was clearer, easier to breathe in. Ryan and Lily kept their distance from Mom after the wedding, not out of spite, but protection. They'd stop by on holidays, send her updates in group texts, but the old dependency, the blind trust, that was gone. And for the first time, their choices were truly theirs. I started therapy too. It felt weird at first. Sitting in a quiet office talking about feelings I'd buried under years of responsibility. But it helped, a lot. I realized I wasn't just angry about the wedding. I was angry about a lifetime of being needed, but never seen. Turns out there's a name for what Mom did: narcissistic manipulation. The gaslighting, the guilt trips, the quiet rewrites of history. The way she made me feel like I only mattered when I was useful. Understanding that didn't fix everything, but it made me stop blaming myself. I stopped picking up the phone out of obligation, stopped showing up to every family dinner out of guilt. I set boundaries, real ones, and stuck to them. And slowly the weight lifted. Ryan and I were closer than we'd been in years. He'd swing by my place on Sunday afternoons, sometimes just to hang out in the garage while I tinkered with old cars. We talked about everything now, not just wedding fallout, but real stuff. Our childhood, our fears, what kind of dads we wanted to be someday. And then about 6 months later, he and Lily had their first baby, a little boy. They named him Miles Mark Ellison. Ryan didn't tell me right away. He waited until I showed up at the hospital, took one look at that red-faced, squirming bundle, and melted. When the nurse handed him over, Ryan said, "He's going to be stubborn like you. I can already tell." I laughed. Poor kid. Then he got quiet. "We gave him your name," he said. "Middle name. Because you never gave up on me." I stared down at that baby and realized something. I didn't need to be the family hero anymore. I didn't need to fix everything like or carry everyone else's weight. I just needed to be a man with a backbone, a clear mind, and a choice. That was enough. And looking around at my brother, his wife, and the baby now named after me, I finally understood. It always had been. YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.